The following podcast is a deep, shallow dive production.
And you're gonna love it.
Okay, let's go.
All right, so I was going to start off this podcast by serenading you with either NSYNC or Backstreet Boys, and literally as I was about to pick the song, I'm like, oh my God, I'm blanking on the lyrics. But listen, everybody, we have got today a super fun episode, and we are going to dive into the world of boy bands. I'm talking NSYNC, Backstreet Boys, 98 Degrees, LFO, who else? O-Town. And we're going to talk about Lou Pearlman. We're going to talk about all that stuff. This is going to be super fun. And Stacey Larson, better known as Boy Band Stacey, is here. Hey, welcome to the Deep Shallow Dive, Stace.
Thank you for having me, Ray.
This is going to be so fun. You know, this is funny. My first concert that I ever attended in my life was it was my senior year in high school, and it was with my sophomore girlfriend, and we went to New Kids on the Block.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's the first concert I ever attended. All right, let's jump into this boy band. I mean, literally, your moniker is Boy Band Stacey. So tell us why. What is that all about?
I think when people in my real life, not even online life, when they see boy bands, they've always just associated that with me because I grew up in high school, such a big boy band fan. And I don't know, it was just something that stuck. And then when I came to making an Instagram platform, I honestly started it because I thought my friends and family were getting tired of seeing all the boy band content on my personal stuff. So I was like, well, I'll create a fun page where I could put all that stuff, not annoy my friends and family. And it just seemed like, I feel like I wasn't super creative. I was just like, I'm regular Stacey. This is Boy Band Stacey.
This is Boy Band Stacey. Okay, so you started working in the boy band, I guess, part of the music industry. So this is probably like the 2000, right? Like maybe 1998, 99, 2000. I'm trying to remember when that, when Backstreet and NSYNC really got into the mix.
So they kind of blew up, I think around like 97, 98. I wasn't personally into the music back then. I liked rap. I didn't like pop music. So I didn't really start getting into them until 2000, maybe end of 99, 2000. And then I started working in the industry in 2001 when I moved to Las Vegas.
Okay. So you got in the industry. What did you do? You worked for a producer? Did you work for a record label? Where did you work?
I worked for a venue. I worked for two venues. I worked for the Mandalay Bay Event Center, which still there has huge concerts. And then at the time it was called the Aladdin, but now it's Planet Hollywood, the Theater for the Performing Arts.
Okay.
I worked there. And then I met a friend that was a producer in town, and he still has a Vegas show, a show that he brought to Vegas. And I thought that fan base is very similar to boy band fans. Let me create you a fan club. So I started working with a producer in that sense, where I was cultivating the fan relationship.
Okay, that's interesting because, man, that fan relationship exploded with those boy bands. So let's talk about some of them. So like NSYNC, Backstreet, who have you had a lot of experience with?
Probably, of the two, definitely Backstreet Boys.
Okay.
NSYNC, when did were they done? I think it was like 2002 was their last tour.
Yeah.
And Backstreet Boys has been around this whole time. People often think they got back together. They've never stopped.
That's funny.
There were some slumps where I remember going to shows and they were at smaller venues and not a whole lot of people. But still, consistently, every couple of years, they've done something. So with that in mind, probably them, because,
You never worked for the bands directly though. Did you work for booking agents that booked the bands? Like what was your point of contact with like the Backstreet Boys? Because I know you're pretty close with which one is it? Chris Kirkpatrick?
Chris is in sync.
Chris is in sync. Oh my God. It's like getting those
But
confused.
back then, no, back in those 2000s, I just worked for the venue and I was just always around. But
Okay.
through that is how I met a lot of friends that were in the industry on the tours. And then they later in life have brought me around because they knew I was looking to work in the industry. And so I kind of been around. I've had friends that have launched VIP companies,
Hmm.
agents, promoters.
And
Sometimes
so
the artists themselves launches side projects that I can
okay.
help promote.
Got it. Got it. Got it. When you were working for Mandalay Bay or the venues at the time, and you said it was the Aladdin, which became Planet Hollywood. So
Yep.
when those guys would book these acts, I mean, that must have been just massive crowds, right? Because those
Yeah.
boy bands were enormous.
And I couldn't believe I had found a job that paid me to be there when it was
Yeah.
shows that I would have paid to go see. That was like it never felt like work because I was so excited to be there and see all these shows.
And then were you interacting, like, were you the point person for the venue with the artist or with the artist
No.
management? Like who was,
No, I back then I was just ticket taking
oh,
or
okay. Okay.
ushering.
Okay.
The highlight for me was we all used the same catering area. Their room was different from ours, but I would get to see all the artists backstage. That was like the highlight for me was getting that close up to
Okay.
most of those artists.
Was it just pandemonium? I mean, like were
Yes.
girls like probably young girls trying to get in to see them? Because again, NSYNC and Backstreet, they were enormous. I
Well,
think
and they did it smart because I when Backstreet was exploding, I wasn't working yet. I was 16 and I was in high school. And they used to have parent rooms. So like my dad would take me to a concert and then there would be a room that the parents could just hang out in. And I think I've heard new kids used to do that too. So they brought in, yeah, everyone and they made it convenient for the family where you could just buy your daughter a ticket or bring your daughter, bring your kids. And then you didn't have to actually go and buy the ticket too. You could just still sit safely in the venue with the
interesting.
minor. Yeah, it was a really cool concept.
Okay, okay. Those guys, man, they really did revolutionize a big segment of the music industry. Similar to like you said you liked hip hop and rap. I mean, kind of the same thing. That those two genres really came up together. Let's jump into because ironically I just got done maybe a month ago watching the Lou Pearlman documentary on Netflix, which was really good and really interesting. But I think, did you work for his company was called TransCon, I believe. Did you work for TransCon or did you work for a band or a label that was owned by TransCon?
So I worked later in life. I managed a band called C Note, which was one of TransCon's artists
Mm.
in that boy band umbrella. And so I worked for that band. And two of those members in the C Note group, they were two of the original NSYNC members with Chris Kirkpatrick. And then they did
Wow.
some shuffling around of the groups, and two of my guys didn't end up being in the NSYNC that we know now.
Okay.
But it's crazy how intertwined they all were. They all had houses like within the same block that Lou put them in, and along with his house. And they were just so interconnected.
So was that Lou Pearlman stuff? I mean, was it like super shady? Was it, what I got out of the documentary was Lou Pearlman was a guy that, was an opportunist, a good businessman. He ended up making these boy bands successful, but it seemed like it wasn't necessarily a fair, I guess, financial deal for the bands. So like I'm wondering, are these guys, the members of NSYNC, the members of Backstreet Boys, are these guys worth hundreds of millions of dollars, or are they worth, a few million here and there, and they had a fun little run? Like, where do they fit out in terms of how much money they've made in the music industry?
Well, I think it depends on the band. I think every band's situation was different. And then what they did after Lou. Like, I didn't work for TransCon. I didn't work for these guys back in the time. But from what my band guys have told me, that the deals weren't fair. They didn't make much money.
We're not fair, you said?
Right.
Okay.
And I think they kind of do that in the docu-series too, about how, like, I think NSYNC had a huge album and Chris talks about how we got a paycheck for $10,000. Like,
wow,
that's crazy. So, but I think talking about where they're at now, a lot of them broke away from him fairly early on and then went on to have successful deals and made a ton of money. And yeah, I think it just depends on the group because everyone's situation was different.
Okay, I gotcha. It's probably it's a small subsegment of the music industry. So did everybody know each other back then? Like,
Yes.
were the guys from NSYNC friends with the guys from
Yes.
Backstreet? Were they crazy competitive against one another, or were they helpful against one another?
So Backstreet and NSYNC, I think, was a little different because they tried to keep them separated and not know about each other. Like the NSYNC guys and Backstreet with LFO, they all knew
Okay.
each other. Like I said, they all lived in this little suburb of Orlando and all recorded at the same studio. So they
That's
all
fun.
knew each other. Aside from Backstreet and NSYNC, who were pitted against each other, everybody else hung out and were part of the same crowd.
Okay. Okay. Was 98 Degrees in that mix as well? I know they were from
No, so
Ohio.
they were different, and they were under, I think, Motown, so
Oh,
not
okay.
TransCon. But I found out later that when 98, because TransCon went past, Backstreet and Sync, I think, left in like 2001-ish, 2000, I'm
Really?
not sure. But TransCon still was around until like 2007, 2008. So I found out later, like Jeff Timmons from 98 Degrees, he came and recorded some stuff with TransCon and was at the studios. So that was his connection to a lot of those Orlando TransCon artists. And Danny Wood from New Kids on the Block and is Jordan Knight from New Kids on the Block. They came and worked for TransCon. So it kind of brought all the, like, New Kids on the Block wasn't an Orlando TransCon group, but some of those guys came back to work at TransCon. So they kind of all got connected that way.
Got it. Got it. Okay, that is interesting. Which one of those guys? I mean, I see pictures of you with like Donnie Wahlberg and then Danny Wood. Let's talk about some of the
Sure.
people. Yeah. Let's talk about Donnie first of all. I mean, I like the guy. I think he's
Yeah.
he's one of those people that seems like he has made a kind of the most of his little, I don't want to say 15 minutes of fame because it was a hell of a lot longer than 15 minutes. But like, well, first of all, I think Justin Timberlake is in a category all by himself. Like, of all the boy band guys, I think he probably made it the most, aside from, let's say, Britney and Christina. And if we consider them, the girl band
Yeah, as a
voice.
solo artist. Yeah, for
Yeah, as
sure.
a solo artist. Okay, got it. But then Donnie Wahlberg, he's married to Jenny McCarthy. Seems like
He's got
he's done.
some pretty big TV shows.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Yeah, and
Okay.
he's made it solo, not music at the level of Justin Timberlake, but for acting. I mean, he's
Okay. That's
got some
very
pretty
true.
huge roles. Yeah.
That's very true. Is that something like, have you had business projects with him, or you just have a personal friendship with him?
Just a personal, I wouldn't even call it I mean, I'd love to call it a friendship, but I didn't really like know Donnie until I started the Boy Band Stacey stuff. I would see him at shows because I had friends working on the New Kids tour. And so I would pop in and we made eye contact. I think he recognized my face. And I don't know what it was, but it was just something about the Boy Band Stacey thing he loved and was super supportive of, and started following me and repost my stuff. And then anytime I'd see him, he'd be like, Boy Band. And
Oh,
we'd
that's
catch up.
funny.
And that was during COVID. So it was like fairly recently, maybe 2020, 2021.
Okay.
So it kind of just built from there. But
Okay. So
yes,
like backstage, this concept of like thinking about women backstage during this whole the boy band era and then moving forward. I mean, what is that like? Like it just seems so debaucherous to me. But
yeah.
I will tell you, I also just watched the Motley Crue documentary. So like I think maybe I need to stop thinking that the boy bands were like Motley Crue. Those guys were insane.
Well,
My God.
listen, I don't think any of these guys were saints back in the day. But I
Yeah.
don't know. I wasn't back there. I could tell you now
Yeah. What
when I'm
about
back
now?
there, it's like it's a family scene. And a
Okay.
lot of times they have their kids out there, their wives are out there. But it's a very negative connotation for a woman to be back there. For whatever reason, it's not just men, it's other women too. Look at you and they're like, well, how did she get back there? What's she doing there? Who's she with? Versus you see men walking around backstage and they're like, oh, what does that guy do? What's his job? And
Yeah.
so nobody ever thinks, like, what's her job? And I had that experience from managing the band. I was there because I was their management. I booked the show,
Yeah.
did it, sold the tickets, put together the platforms, was releasing their music. And people just thought I was like there to hang out with the guys in a groupie or just taking pictures. Like
Yeah. Yeah. They
nobody
probably did
just
think you
assumes,
were a
oh, that's
groupie.
their manager.
Okay. And you managed LFO, you said, right?
I manage C Note.
C Note. Okay. Let's talk about managing C Note. So you're managing a band. Were they signed to a label?
Not at the time. So they were signed to TransCon, and then they
Okay.
had back in the day before I knew them, they had a really big, like I think $26 million record deal with Epic
Wow. Okay.
Records that Lou pulled them from.
Wow. That was
And
before you managed them?
yeah, that was back in the TransCon. Like I
Okay.
think their album came out in 1999. So that was back when I was in high school. But I met them later in life at a different show when I had Boy Band Stacey already formed, and one of the members came up to me and was like, "Hey, we're approaching our 25th year anniversary. Why don't you come manage us? Let's like do a reunion show." And I was like, "Well, I don't really know much about you guys, but I'll look into it. Like I think that'd be fun."
Yeah.
So no, so they weren't signed to anyone when I was managing them. We were independent, did everything on our
Okay,
own.
okay, okay. So as an independent artist, then what are you looking to do? What did you do with them? You took them on tour? So you got a booking agent and you booked them in venues and took them on tour?
We booked show. We didn't have a full tour. We would do a number of one-offs. I have a good friend that's a booking agent who was nice enough to put us on a show that is a tour, and we
Okay.
opened. Called the Pop 2000 tour. So that was our first show back, was opening, and that's which was really fun, by the way, because the Pop 2000 tour is O Town are the headliners who were TransCon,
Okay,
and
okay.
LFO, Brad, who's TransCon, and Chris
Yeah,
Kirkpatrick from NSYNC is the host. So bringing those guys onto that tour for that first show back, it was like a frat house reunion of like Orlando. They all knew each other from
yeah.
TransCon, every single one of them. So that was really cool. So then we did that, and then we did a bunch of our own shows and our own events, and those I would just contact the venue directly and book them.
And were those like what size venues would these guys go into?
We did, well, we did a big one in Orlando because that's their hometown. So we had 400 capacity and we sold
Okay,
that one out. And
okay,
then we did some smaller one in Tampa,
okay.
which was maybe like, I think the capacity was 175-ish.
Okay, okay, okay. And then do you mind
Yeah.
sharing? Because I think this will be super interesting for people. So, like a 400 person capacity venue, how do they pay you guys? Do they pay you a flat fee for performing, or is it a percentage of ticket sales, or what is
It
it?
can go both ways. So on that Orlando one, we made it's called a door deal.
Okay,
So we paid the venue basically like a small rental fee, and then we got to take everything from ticket sales
okay.
and a percentage of the bar sales. And it's a very big thing in boy band world is to sell VIP packages. And the VIP packages are where you get to meet the artist, take pictures with them, and then you make money doing that as well.
Okay, got it, got it. So in that situation, it's almost like you're renting their venue. You're renting
Yes.
their venue. You're paying them to use their venue, and then you're
Hmm.
basically getting the lion's share of the ticket
Yes.
sales, a percentage of maybe the alcohol sales, and then
Huh?
you put
Right.
together these packages. Okay, just ballpark on a one night 400 person event like that, is the band taking in, I mean, what are they taking in? 20 grand, 50 grand? What are they taking in?
Yeah. It depends on it depends on what you charge for tickets. So,
Okay.
we had a pretty low end ticket sales where we were only selling $25 tickets. But if you were to sell, $50 tickets, which is
Wow.
average for concerts, sure, you could walk away with 50, 60 grand for a night, which you're using also to pay, your manager,
Yeah.
and you're using that comes out of your expenses for any marketing that you might do, sound
Okay.
guys, but oftentimes those deals, like the venue will provide a sound guy, the venue provides a lighting person, and then usually you travel with your own person that knows your music too, so you have one of those as well. But yeah, that's
Okay.
kind of how, I don't know if that
Okay.
answers your
Okay.
question, but
Yeah, yeah, okay. I mean, that gives, I'm trying to help people understand ballpark, just the money that's involved in the music industry. Obviously, then you can multiply that out by, the NSYNCs and Backstreets who are selling out, stadiums. I mean, that's just gotta be insane,
mhm.
because I remember I worked in the music industry in a different capacity for a while. And back in the 2000s, the money was on the record side when they were selling CDs. So, like your deal with the record label, you made money
Mhm.
there. But then there were all these crazy expenses that come out of that. It was touring where people really made the bulk of their money. And that's why
Yeah.
bands like, from the Grateful Dead to Fish to then Dave Matthews Band, Dave Matthews Band was making tens, if not hundreds of millions of dollars every year going on tour. And now I think Coldplay does that same thing. So it
It's
seems like,
still it still is a huge, I mean, touring is most independent artists, that's how they make their money. If you don't have a record label behind you, like you make your money touring. That's a whole business in itself.
yeah, yeah. So when you were managing C Note, did you then try to get them a record deal, or did you get them a label deal?
We never went that far. We released a couple songs and we just did that ourselves through, I mean, I don't think anyone would have balked if somebody had approached us, but we didn't actively go seek one. It was more our business model and plan was based off doing shows.
Okay, okay. Got it, got it. Okay, and then, was there a lot of merch sales? Like, was merch sales a big part of the revenue model?
We had merch sales, and we did some like VIP packages with merch where we would actually sell the shirt off the guy's back that they wore during the show. Autographed.
That's funny.
Fans love that. So that was a sale. But yeah, we had a really awesome company. One of my friends started it's a VIP company, but they sell merch too and they make merch. So we use them and they did a fantastic job for us making
Okay.
merch. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, merch is a big part of it. Okay, let's jump back into some of these guys. So Donnie Wood from New Kids on the Block. I'm trying to remember. Okay, Donnie Wood was, I think, the one I always
Danny
thought
Wood.
he kind of, Danny Wood, I'm sorry. He reminded me of John Travolta. He kind of looked
I can see that.
like John Travolta. Okay, so
I
that
can
was
see that.
another guy you were close with, Chris Kirkpatrick, then from NSYNC. So, okay, I had thought maybe you had worked previously at TransCon and you were the point person with
No,
those guys from a
I
label
wish I
standpoint.
was, yeah, I was 16 when those
Yeah.
TransCon things were going
Oh
on. So
my
I
God.
watched from afar thinking, how do I get into this?
Yeah. Yeah, which it sounds like you ended up doing. So did you turn Boy Band Stacey into like a brand, or is it a
Yeah,
marketing company, or like what exactly did you turn it into?
I turned it into a brand, and for all intents and purposes, it's been like an influencer. So
Okay.
I would make my money from promoting a show or selling items, or tickets or packages and making a percentage from that. And that was so it was
Okay.
yeah, influencing. Or like I said earlier, some of the guys have side projects where they make things. For instance, AJ from Backstreet Boys had a nail polish line. So selling nail polish with discount codes and things like that.
Okay, got it, got it. So you built up an audience that followed Boy Band Stacey. They were fans of yours and are fans of yours. And then they're also fans of obviously the boy bands that you covered. So in the
Yes.
audience's mind, you're somebody that's close with all these boy bands. They don't necessarily know exactly what that role is, but then you're selling them certain things, packages and things involving these bands. Okay, I got it. I got it. And
Yeah,
that's
and
what
it's
you're doing now, right?
yeah, but and which is separate. It kind of got convoluted when I started managing the band because I think people thought I was doing that with them, which, I will say it's pretty common, as you probably know from music industry, is like you wear a lot of hats. And
Yeah,
so each job or each gig is also different. So it would
totally.
change from show to show what my role actually was and what I was doing there because it was different with every event.
Yeah, yeah. So
But
with
yeah, the common
managing,
denominator is that we're all fans of the same genre. I got to do some pretty cool stuff promoting that and showing people. A lot of people didn't know these bands were quote unquote back together.
okay,
And so
okay.
getting to show these shows that they're all out there, they're still doing shows, they have opportunities where you can come in and meet them. Like getting to share all that was a real highlight for me.
Okay, okay. Yeah, and I think right now, I mean, all these little reunion concert tours and sort of the nostalgia coming back. I know the
Yeah.
R&B guys are doing it because I think the music industry has changed so much because these guys are no longer making any money from obviously CD sales are not there anymore, and I think they get absolutely railroaded by Spotify and all the digital platforms. I mean,
Yeah.
they're not making much on that. Actually, the Spotify documentary on Netflix is really good and it makes you realize kind of what a bunch of assholes the Spotify founder is actually, because those
And
guys have
truthfully,
completely ripped off those artists.
the whole like music distribution world to me was probably the most challenging thing I learned managing the band because I worked in live venues a ton and have been on tours and seen like how those work, but I had no clue and I still really have not a lot of info of how the labels work and the how people make money. I've heard there's some money in doing like vinyls now. Those are coming back and that's
Oh, that's
I've
funny.
heard better than streaming because like you're saying, yeah, streaming I've heard is notoriously bad and it's hard to make money from that. But yeah,
Yeah,
that's a
I don't
whole
think they make any real money for that. What about
yeah.
like on the managing artist side? I mean, did you also play the role of like babysitter or mom? And
Yeah.
like, were some of these guys divas? And like, were there any drug issues, alcohol overdoses, baby
No, because
mamas?
we were met them later in life where they're all
Mm,
dads and
okay.
husbands, and so it was tamer. I mean, I used to call myself the Wrangler because it is like herding cats, getting four men together, and also, no offense to you, but like men don't communicate that well. So trying to get all four of them on the same page, you're oftentimes like, yeah,
Yeah.
the nanny, the therapist, like, let's get on time. Yeah, it's a lot of trying to talk and get them to talk to each other and everybody get on the same page.
Got it, got it. And then did you have to find like an attorney for the band? Like, did you manage the legal aspects of things as well?
We didn't know. I mean, we probably hindsight should have. The guys elected not to. So, but
Wow, okay.
yeah, we were just doing a couple of shows and
Got
we
it.
had some one of the guys had an attorney friend as a good friend that kind of looked over the
Okay.
contracts that we did, but it wasn't like a official relationship where we had them on retainer or anything.
I got it. I got it. Okay, because I remember back then for me when I was working with like Nelly was a guy that I did a lot of work with. And so he had a manager, well, he had a management team, and then they also obviously had contacts at the label because they were signed to a big label. But then they also had their entertainment attorney, and like that
Sure.
guy was like everything had to run through that guy. And then with actors, I think with actors, they have a manager. A lot of the big ones have a manager and then they'll have an agent. and then they'll have an attorney. So there's really 3 people in addition to, I guess,
And that's
PR.
really how it's traditionally set up still. It's the
Okay.
same way. We're just not funded by a major label, so the money
Got
isn't
it.
there to hire all those people. But yeah, that is mostly how it's set up. And like I work for an agent now, and same thing. Most artists have their manager, like a business manager, tour
Yeah.
manager, agent, and then their legal counsel.
That's crazy. Do you know the percentages that everybody takes? Like what's a music manager take? What's a business manager take? What's an agent take?
That's a good. I lost an earphone.
Oh, that's all right. That's all right. I'll let you put your earphone back in. That's okay. That's okay. All right. Hold on, everybody. Boy Band
Okay,
Stacey is
got it.
getting her earphone. All right. She's back. Boy Band Stacey is back.
I think every deal is set up different, to be honest. I think the typical standard I've heard is around 10 to 15%, but I
10 to
truly don't know.
15% for everybody or for each entity?
I think for each entity, like
Wow.
I think like a manager gets 10%, an agent gets 10%. I think every band is truly different.
Okay. Okay. But still, that's a lot of points that these guys are giving up. If a manager's getting 10, agents getting 10, that's 20. I think the business managers, from what I remember, would get 5, and then the attorney would get 5. So that's 30% that's gone to the management team.
Well,
And then
that's exactly why, to your point, why with Sino, it was just me, because
got it.
we didn't have the kinds of money coming in where they could afford to pay
Yeah.
a whole bunch of people like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Very cool. Okay. So tell us what you're doing now and where we can find you and what events we can attend and all that.
Yeah. So I work for an agent now doing social media and marketing for, it's called I Love the 90s Tour, which
Okay.
is with Vanilla Ice. So you can usually at those shows, so you can catch me out there. It's tons of 90s classics. We got Vanilla Ice, Tone Loc, Raw Bass, who else? Color Me Bad, All for One. It's a rotating lineup of all 90s favorites. And then I just relaunched Boy Band Stacey. So I'll be in Vegas for New Kids residency that they're doing. Backstreet Boys is doing a residency there this summer. So I'll be there for those shows and showing a little bit of that. And that's keeping myself busy with both. The Boy Band Stacey is obviously
That's very
my
cool.
passion project.
Yeah. So the agent that you're working for now, is that a booking agent or what kind of agent? Okay, that's a booking agent. So that
Yes.
booking agent is booking this rotating group of 90s artists into
Yes.
different venues across the country
Yes.
under the banner of I Love the 90s Tour.
Yes.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, so a lot of these artists are signed to the agency and they'll do I Love the 90s Tour and other shows too. So it's not, a lot of these artists are not specifically assigned to just one tour. They do tons of different shows, but me personally, I'm assigned to the I Love the 90s Tour.
Got it. And then does your agent, who owns I Love the 90s Tour? Whose intellectual property is that?
The agency owns that one.
Got it. Cause yeah, it's like you look at these major music festivals like Lollapalooza, or like there used to be one called Bonnaroo. I don't know if that one's still going. Yeah, those things are huge. Those things are huge.
And this I Love the 90s Tour, I think they're in their 7th year. So it's been, this is, I think, the 7th tour. This is my first year with them, but this is not their first. They've been doing this for a while.
Wow. Okay. All right. Can you try to hook me up with Vanilla Ice to bring him on the podcast? He would be a good one. I want to ask him about when supposedly, I forget if it was Suge Knight or somebody like held him off a balcony with his ankles or something. That is supposedly a true story. Yeah.
Wow.
That's crazy. All right, listen, Boy Band Stacey, give us anything else you want us to know. I will obviously put all your social media handle, and then maybe I'll even look to see if I can get a link for the I Love 90s tour schedule. I'll put that into the show notes. But any last parting words from our queen of boy bands?
Great. I just appreciate talking to a new demographic about this because,
Yeah,
we kind
yeah.
of get in our little bubbles of, I know all the boy band fans and the boy bands, and it's cool to get outside of that circle and talk about it.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
This was super fun. All right. Stay on the line. All right, everybody. I hope you enjoyed a nice break from our crazy geopolitical world to talk a little boy band, a little NSYNC, a little Backstreet Boys. I'll tell you who I also had a resurgence of listening to their music, and it was because of the Menendez brothers documentary, and that was Milli Vanilli. All of a
Oh,
sudden, because the Menendez brothers like supposedly loved Milli Vanilli. So in the Netflix documentary of theirs, there's all kinds of Milli Vanilli. And I remember after watching that, I created I literally have a boy band playlist in my Spotify.
love
And
it.
you know what? I rock out to it.
You're
I
going to have
will.
to send
I'll
that to
share.
me.
I will. I'll share it with you. All right, listen, hold on the line, Stacey. All right, everybody, call a spade, and this has been fun. We might have to bring Stacey back after I attend one of the shows, and I'll give you guys a rundown.
Yes.
All right, thanks again.
This episode was brought to you by Zippix nicotine toothpicks. Zip more, smoke less. Totally satisfying, discreet, and delicious. Zippix nicotine-infused toothpicks are available in 6 great flavors, each containing at least 2 milligrams of nicotine to curb those cravings. Zippix is FDA registered and proudly made in the USA. Use discount code DSD for 10% off your order at zippixtoothpicks.com. Zip more, smoke less, save 10%.